Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Prime Minister, dignitaries, and the real chief guests of today's event, all the freelancers that are in this auditorium, Assalamu alaikum. It really is a privilege to be here and to be able to continue the journey that was started in the same venue about 6 months ago. About 6 months ago, all of us gathered here and made a resolve to make IT a priority for Pakistan with the Tech Destination Pakistan's first conference. It really is a privilege to be here 6 months later to report on the progress we've made for all the milestones that we'd set for ourselves 6 months ago. And I report with a lot of hope and optimism, but also it gives me a lot of satisfaction to report that we are well on our way to achieve a number of goals that we had set for ourselves. As I explained to folks in my ministry, we have 5 constituents when we work for the people of Pakistan. My 5 constituents is the IT services industry, the telecom sector, the handset manufacturers, Pakistani startups, and the freelancers. And we must do substantial work for each one of these sectors to grow this economy. At this point, if you look at Pakistan's IT exports, officially you would see a number of $2.6 billion. Compare that to India's $164 billion. Well, there are 2 parts to this discussion. The first one is that it's actually not $2.6 billion. A lot of Pakistani IT companies, because they are service-based companies, are forced to keep their revenue outside of Pakistan because it was very difficult to bring dollars back in and to be able to spend those dollars for their employees who were working abroad, or to make expenses for hosting their software in various data centers, or to service their clients, or to pay their marketing and services teams, etc. So with the help of the Special Investment Facilitation Council, we took a radical step. Working with the State Bank of Pakistan, we allowed IT companies to keep 50% of their foreign revenue in dollars. All restrictions on how they spend this money. Of course, there was an apprehension that all this money that comes in will flow out, but exactly the opposite happened. Companies finally got this confidence to bring their money back home, and in just 30 days, this is the last 30 days, our IT revenue grew by 13%. 13% in just 1 month because of one good policy decision which was made, and a radical decision made by the Special Investment Facilitation Council. The other big challenge faced by the IT industry is lack of skilled manpower. This is the world's largest, 5th largest country in the world. We are the 7th largest market for cell phones. We have literally 1.5 million freelancers. But the IT industry needs specialized skills. Students who once graduate from the university are globally competitive. This is one industry where you can't afford to be mediocre because you are competing in a global knowledge economy. Now, it just so happens that Pakistani universities graduate 75,000 IT graduates every year. That's a very large number. But you look at the IT industry, it only employs 150,000 people. So where are all these 75,000 people going? We must, of course, go back to these universities and make sure that what is coming out of these universities is immediately employable by these IT companies. This IT industry, which only employs about 150,000 people, could grow to literally about 700,000 people. That's what all of our research currently shows. That's the unmet demand for Pakistan's IT skills. It could be literally 7 times its size at this point. But to be able to accomplish that, we need to make sure that we give the IT industry skilled manpower, skilled in skills that are needed by the global competitive tech ecosystem. And for that, we've started 2 large programs working with the Higher Education Commission. Starting this Sunday, we're going to conduct a centralized test across all universities in Pakistan to measure their quality. Students that pass this test will then have a mandatory industry placement before they graduate. So each student would get 6 months of apprenticeship in with the industry before they are allowed to graduate. This would be 6 to 9 credit units of academic work in the university. Students would get a stipend from us, and the companies that give them apprenticeship would get cash awards from us. So essentially, through this program, every year we hope to place as much as 75,000 students measured on a standard quality test in the industry, so they are able to get the skilled manpower that they at this point are in desperate need of. At the same time, the IT industry also needs highly skilled manpower which is certified by international enterprise platforms, Googles and Microsofts, Cisco's, and so on and so forth. So this year we're going to train 16,000 people. These are people who already have IT skills but need international certifications in technologies like the Salesforce, Cisco, Microsoft, Oracle, Financials, etc. We're going to train 16,000 of them through NAVTAC. We awarded this program to NAVTAC 3 months ago, and on the 25th of this month, they start their first training. And we hope to have these trainings finished in the next 6 months. So the IT industry starting this year will begin to get 100,000 people from us, 75,000 coming from the universities, another 16,000 trained every year in high-end skills. For every software developer that we add with the IT industry, you get $25,000 of additional revenue. That's the global market. With about 200,000 people that we hope to add in the next 2 years, you get an additional $5 billion of export revenue for these companies. Our second constituent are the freelancers who are sitting here. So while our enterprises didn't scale, of course the largest IT company in Pakistan is about 8,000 people. Compared that to the largest Indian company, about 500,000 people. These young people who graduated from universities and had the skill and education to work, in the global, what is called the gig economy, where instead of getting a job, they could do remote work for $5 a piece or $10 a piece. They were already, and it's called internet online freelancing, and good about 1.5 million of them are already doing this worldwide. In terms of numbers, Pakistan is the second largest online workforce. India is at number 4. And this is just because of the skill, education, and grit that our youth has, looking for opportunities, employment opportunities, in this case globally, by linking themselves to this gig economy. And these 1.5 million people who we've trained through the Rozgar program in Punjab, which I started about 8 years ago, to the DigiSkills program, which we replicated in the federal government about 6 years ago. They now face 2 problems. 1.5 million of them are trained, but they have no place to go sit and online freelance. And 2, they face huge difficulty in getting paid for the little tasks that they do online. For the first challenge that they have, of course, with someone who's making $10 a day or $7.50 a day, which is the average yield for a freelancer right now, they can't afford a 5 lakh rupees laptop. They can't afford to rent an office for a few 100,000 rupees. They can't afford to invest in a generator or uninterrupted internet connectivity. We need to provide them space where they can just show up and work and earn up to $30 a day freelancing or working in this gig economy globally. So for that, we're going to unleash the Pakistan Rozgar program. This is a scale-up of a program that we did in Punjab many years ago. I started this in 2014. In 2016, we finally established an Rozgar center. We now have 65 centers of Rozgar in Punjab. And in these centers, we've trained 80,000 people. And these freelancers have made 25 billion rupees so far. That's just investing in your youth, giving them a direction and a place to go and sit and work. That was Punjab's Rozgar program. Now we need to scale that up. We need to scale that up by creating 10,000 of these centers. We created 65 in Punjab. 10,000 of these centers across the country, 5,000 in academic institutions and 5,000 in private sector. And the plan here is that while working with HEC, we can fund the universities, colleges, schools to convert their computer labs into Rozgar centers, but also incentivize the private sector with interest-free loans, for which we just set aside money. where the IT ministry would pick up the interest, but the private sector would get interest-free loans to convert their real estate into co-working spaces or e-rozgar centers for freelancers. And the idea is that with 10,000 e-rozgar centers, it's a 50 billion rupee program. That's the interest-free loan, the volume of the interest-free loans that are going to be given to the private sector. The IT ministry would pick up the interest. The private sector would get these loans to convert their unutilized real estate, and we have plenty of that in this country, into co-working spaces for freelancers. Additionally, we're going to declare these e-rozgar centers virtual technology zones, so that they're exempt, the income of these e-rozgar centers run by the private sector exempt from many taxes. That's the special technology zone. And they're all going to be cobbled together into a virtual technology zone and run by the Pakistan Software Expert Board. So if you have unutilized real estate, you conceived a plaza or a shopping mall or an office building or an apartment block, but you can't manage to find a business case for it, and there's plenty of that almost at the corner of every street and road in Pakistan. Here is a business opportunity for you to convert these into co-working spaces for these young people. You could charge them a small rent. We'll give you an interest-free loan, the capex to convert your property into a co-working space, and also give you tax exemption so you can support the youth here. Now, if you have in these 10,000 centers 10 million people, 1 million people freelancing every day and making $30 a day, which is possible. A million people in these freelancing centers making $30 a day. That's $10 billion a year. Remember, Pakistan's entire export right now is $32 billion. That would increase your exports by 30%. You're already educated and skilled, an opportunity to go and be part of this global gig economy where they could get remote work, small remote work for this skill and education that they have. Some could maintain a ledger, some design a logo, someone could write content, do social media marketing, voiceovers, medical transcriptions. All of that gets outsourced in the world. The other problem, of course, which everyone's been talking about, is this inability or difficulty to get paid for small amounts of work or small ticket item work that you do online. $10 a piece, $15 a piece. If large companies want to get paid, they get a wire transfer from a large client from US. And with the dollar retention accounts, we've seen there's more of that beginning to happen. But for individual freelancer, they face many problems, starting with a bank not opening their account. We have now come in as the Pakistan Software Expert Board, and with the help of State Bank, we've made policies where as a freelancer, you can now get a bank account. All you need to do is show them evidence that you have an account on Fiverr or Upwork or Elance or Top Talent or Crossover. That's all you need to do. Give them evidence that you do online freelancing. The bank is now mandated to open an account for you. 2, these accounts, much like the IT industry, would have a 50% dollar retention policy, which means that whatever you earn, you can keep 50% of that in dollars. 3, you will get a debit card from that bank so that you're able to freely spend that money domestically or internationally. And finally, because this is booked now as a freelancer special code that the State Bank has issued, this is booked as part of IT exports, and you'll get the same favorable 0.25% tax as opposed to a 30% tax if you were in another industry. So for the freelancers, in many ways, we've now put them at par with the IT industry as an individual entrepreneur who's wanting to work online. Finally, we've been talking to all these international payment companies like PayPal, Stripe, and Wise to try and figure out a way through which a Pakistani freelancer sitting here could get paid via PayPal or Stripe or Wise. And previously, when we used to go to these companies, our demand was simple. The demand was come and do business in Pakistan. They would always get confused because they want to come here, get a regulatory license, and become a peer-to-peer payment service. We have many systems for that. We have Easy Paisa, we have Jazz Cash, we have our own banks, online services, EMIs, digital banks. That's not what they want to do. That's not what they do globally. We were only interested in one use case, which is that a freelancer like you sitting here should be able to accept $10 from a US client who is only willing to pay via PayPal. Right? So therefore, this is a three-part equation. We need to come up with a mechanism through which we can accept, as a freelancer, $10 into some wallet, which then instantly remit that money back into a Pakistani account, where it can be kept in dollars and spent that way. So therefore, we actually didn't want PayPal to come to Pakistan. We did not want Wise or Stripe to come to Pakistan. We wanted to invent a mechanism through which a local wallet here is able to accept payments from PayPal, which is what we've been able to now achieve. Starting February, we are going to start the first pilot with 10,000 freelancers in Pakistan. We're sitting here, you'll be able to open a wallet in Pakistan through one of the intermediary companies, and there are two of them, with which you'll be able to accept PayPal payments, which will be instantly remitted to a Pakistani bank account, where it'll land as dollars, can be kept as dollars, and you'll get a debit card to spend that money. That will start in February with the first 10,000 freelancers, the pilot, and in March that gets scaled up, and everyone will have access to payments from PayPal and Stripe and Wise in a country like Pakistan. Our third big constituency, of course, is the startups. Now, in Pakistani startups, we did a first startup incubator in the public sector many years ago in Punjab called Plan 9. Now we have 85 startup incubators in Pakistan, 4,000 startups. In just the last 4 years, these startups has raised $800 million from top tier VCs globally. That's a lot of money for a country that's